What's up, everybody? Chris Scott here from Warriors of Wrestling. I am with Scotty Priest, but his name is Jason. We're going to call him Jay. What's up, Jay?
Please call me Jay. And may I just say that I'm number one, I'm happy to be here, but after stepping foot in this house, I feel like I've just done a great disgrace to my Baltimore Orioles by just being in a Yankee fan base. Good God, it's scary. Anyway, not discredit to the Yankees. I mean, I was a fan.
I'm a Colts fan,
yeah.
So we're going to leave that right there for a little bit.
And I'm from Baltimore, so if you don't know the rivalry there, you can figure it out. Go to ESPN and go to history of this, because this is terrible.
Yeah, overnight, the Baltimore Colts just decided to leave, and boom.
No, you picked up in the middle of the night and ran straight over to Indianapolis.
It was a great decision.
Jesus Christ.
Great decision.
Oh, you know what? This is why we hate Indianapolis Colts.
But why are you a Dallas Cowboys fan?
Because I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I made the right choice in my youth to like my Cowboys. Yeah, baby.
Why do you guys call yourselves America's team? I mean, I know the reason why, but I want to know if you know the reason why you guys are America's team.
Jimmy Johnson said it one day in the locker room. How about them Cowboys? America's team, baby. No. We've been America's team since the 70s. Roger Staubach era.
Yeah, there was a highlight film. There was a year there was a highlight film, and whoever was narrating it said, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. And it just stuck ever since.
I was watching that the other day. Actually, it was hilarious that you mentioned that.
That's how it stuck.
We ain't doing really America a favor this year around, but hopefully we'll see what happens. We're still in contention. We beat the damn Eagles last week. Thank God.
That's true. I just think Jerry Jones is just doing too much.
Jerry Jones needs to die. Anyway, his days are numbered. We need some new blood. Thank God he's not Goodell, but
you would think having so many jobs. What is he like? He's a general manager.
He was an oil tycoon.
The president, the vice president, the vice president, the secretary.
He was legit an oil tycoon, and he literally took over the reins and literally just said to hell with Tom Landry and say, here's Jimmy Johnson. Then he went 0 and got 16, 0 and 12 his first year, and then boom, all of a sudden next year got Emmitt Smith, got Michael Irvin, bam. Dynasty. Let's go.
I remember, I think Romo went down with an injury. I mean, that happened like every time.
When did he not?
Romo goes down with an injury. I remember in the paper or somewhere on the internet there was a meme flying around. It was Tony Romo, his body, but replaced with Jerry Jones' face. It's like, I'll just do it.
There's been so many memes of Romo. There's been memes of him sitting on the ground crying after he missed that damn field goal that could have taken us into more in the playoffs that 1 year.
When he was the holder and he fumbled it against the Seahawks. Yep.
But nothing compares to the many, many memes of Manning. Oh, poor Manning.
Eli or Peyton?
Eli.
Eli.
Dumb.
He always has the dull face. I mean,
it's hilarious.
I think the best one maybe from this year when he's on the ground. I think it was against the Cowboys.
Oh, and it's got to say I got to put up with this offense for the whole season.
It's just like him on the ground, like what? I think that's the best one.
It's that Coughlin curse, man. The Giants are shit.
I'm happy I have a guy who's a wrestler that I can talk football with. This is good.
Oh, absolutely. I can't go back in time and give you a lot of stats or anything like that. I can throw some good stuff out there, but I mean, if you really want to talk football with somebody, you go to Joe Bellini or Jesus. You know what? Any Buffalo Bills, Joe Bellini is number one in that category.
Well, yeah, we really didn't have much to talk about on his podcast, on the podcast with him when I was talking about Warriors with him because he's a Bills fan and the Bills are terrible.
And they've always been terrible. And he hates the fact that I'm a Cowboy fan and he has to look at me every single day and know that I beat him twice in the Super Bowls.
Oh, God, the Cowboys are the worst, though. All right, well, listen. We could talk sports all day long. I on my sports podcast, Dinger for Three, and you're more than welcome to come on.
Oh, sweet. Let's do that. I'm all right about it.
100%. Yeah, you'll definitely be on that. That'll be fun. We do that like once a week. That's also on the SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. It's called Dinger for Three. But let's talk wrestling, all right? You're from Warriors of Wrestling. You've been there for a very long time, but you weren't there from the very, very start of it, right?
No, not the very start. My story involving Warriors goes dating back to Empire State of Mind. So they were about, I guess, running into the 3-year anniversary there when I first joined up. Before that, I was literally bouncing around the Carolinas and the Georgia area, then I eventually made my way to New York and went to Long Island and started running around there for a company called VPW, Victory Pro Wrestling. And then just sheer happenstance, I ended up going to a show on Staten Island, and I met up with this kid who was talking about how the company that I saw the show at was like, oh, we got a training thing going on Wednesday. You should come out. So I ended up going to the training thing, and I ended up eventually meeting Chris Banks. And eventually Chris Banks hooked me up with Dirtbag Dan, and we ended up doing a show together out in Pennsylvania somewhere. And then they were like, yo, you should come check out Warriors of Wrestling. We got a show going on January, I believe it was, on Empire State of Mind. And I said, all right, I'll show up. And ever since then, I was like, wow. Like, I literally, wow, W.O.W, ha ha ha. And that first show just blew me the hell away. And that's when I knew I was like, I want to be a part of this company. Mm-hmm. And since then, like, I just came to that show, got to referee the first match because the one referee that they had was involved in the match itself in the first match. So he was like, okay, well, we need a ref. Why don't you just ref for us? All right, cool. I'll do the deal, whatever.
That footage, there's a little bit of footage on the documentary.
Yes.
I saw
that. Me in jeans and a striped shirt zebra. I didn't have any black pants. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But it's good to be different. But
stand out, yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely stood out. I had a zebra shirt on, blue jeans, black shoes, and a mop top haircut of blonde. So, but after that, it was just like from that match on, like, all right, the match I refed in was great, fantastic, nice little comedy spot with El Trios, Hulko, and the Bruiser, and from then on, I just sat in the crowd and just was a fan. And from start to finish, the whole show just blew me the hell away. From the crowd atmosphere to the matches to everything in between, I was just like, I want to work for this damn company. And I remember walking up to Joey B at the very end of the show, and I was like, yo, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to referee for you. I got to ask, how hard is it to get a spot on this roster? He said it's damn near impossible. But he appreciated the fact that I came out and I helped out with ring crew and everything. Told me to come back, keep doing what I'm doing. If a spot opens up, he'll give me a shot. 3 months later, Extreme Heat, boom, shot opened up. I've been running ever since, baby.
Yeah, you've been on a lot of shows. I mean, I've been around for a year, and you're pretty much on every single show for the most part, I think.
Give or take a hiccup here and there where it's like I can't make it due to obligations of work, or Joey B just gets mad at me and decides to kick me off. That's only happened maybe once. Yeah, it is what it is. I paid it for it, whatever. But yeah, I'm on every show. I try to bust my ass all the time. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Now I'll probably live and die warrior.
That's good. That's a good little saying. A live and die warrior.
Live and die warrior, baby.
Now I spoke with Chris Romano earlier in the week.
The man. The man Romano. Oh.
He told me the story of why he's the man. I heard about that. He said that he's had a very long wrestling career now. Several, like over 7 years, he's been going at it for a long time.
I honestly, I've talked to Romano, kayfabe, but yeah, me and Romano are cool outside the ring. It is what it is. Uh-huh. But no, he's definitely done a lot. I think he started out with Johnny Rods way back when in the day. He's been going at it pretty much as I've been. I've been doing it for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it straight.
Yeah, he's been going at it for a long time. He ended up saying that, he told me his whole story about how he wasn't going to wrestle again. That wasn't going to happen. He was going to, tie up the boots, and that was going to be it. But then Warriors, he was revived almost, and he loves wrestling for this company.
I literally can attest to that situation. That's a good word for it. But I could literally I could pinpoint exactly what he meant to say in that, or he meant to say what he meant to say. But the way he said it. I was trained and I wrestled mainly in the South for a good 3 to 4 years before I even came to New York. And the dynamic is just completely different. Fan base wise, promotion wise, booking wise, promoter wise, everything in the South is way different than the North. And the fact that I came from the South up to New York. The first show I ever saw at Warriors at Empire State of Mind, I was like, wow, this is completely different. It literally rejuvenated even me, and I wasn't even done by any means of wrestling yet, but it made me say, this is a company I want to work for. From start to finish, the show was phenomenal. The atmosphere of the crowd was phenomenal, and that could be the fact that it was in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn fans are rowdy as can be. But it was just that aspect alone. It was just like, wow. Even if I was going to be done, that right there, that show made me say I'm a fan and gave me back my so-called Shawn Michaels smile. You know what I mean? And, yeah, I can sympathize with him on that because, yeah, Warriors, there's just something about the company, and I'll say it from start to finish. From the day I came into this company to the day I'll die a Warrior, this company is something special. And whatever it is, keep it that way because that's the dynamic that you want as a professional wrestler. You want to be with a company that you can literally say, this is my home. These are my brothers and sisters. This is my home. Don't nobody try to fuck with me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can sympathize. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If I lost my smile a long time ago, Warriors of Wrestling would have brought it back.
Wow. Wow, Warriors. Damn.
I'm getting deep on y'all, motherfuckers. You didn't think Scotty Priest knew how to talk and sell a story, baby. I can sell a podcast. Everybody say, oh, nobody's going to listen to this ever. You're going to lose viewers. Fuck you, Tom Juba. Love you, buddy. Anyway,
okay. So, the character Scotty Priest.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about how that was developed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, who influenced you, what wrestlers influenced you in the past, and the styles that you've kind of adapted over time.
I mean, you can't really sit there. I mean, I grew up I grew up as a fan. Number one, first and foremost. In the late '80s, when I first discovered professional wrestling, it was All American Wrestling, WWF, obviously. I think it was All American Wrestling. You had the little boardroom where you had Vince, you had Hillbilly Jim, Slick. I believe the $1 Million Man. No, not $1 Million Man. I'm sorry. Mr. Perfect, Bobby Heenan. You just had a big Wrestlers Roundtable, and they talked about a bunch of stuff going on, and then they had matches, this, that, and the other. That's what I started growing up on. I didn't even realize there was any, like, other company out there like WCW, ECW until, like, the middle to late 90s. It was, well, not late 90s, more like middle. The funny thing was, actually, now that I think about it, the first time I even knew there was another company aside from the WWF was my uncle came over one day and said he was going to watch a pay-per-view. I was like, wow, the pay-per-view is not for another 2 weeks. What pay-per-view are you talking about? The wrestling pay-per-view. Well, what wrestling pay-per-view? It was WCW Halloween Havoc with the coal miner's glove. I was like, I spent like 5 minutes watching that show, and I was like, no, I'm done. Going back in my room, popping in some WWF tapes, and going to sleep. I was done. But my personal favorites, like, you have to go with me. You have to go by era. So if you want to talk 80s, obviously Hulk Hogan, I was a huge mark for. But in the dynamic of pure just entertainment-wise, I wasn't just a Hogan fan. I was also a mark for, Roddy Piper, Jake the Snake, obviously. I absolutely loved me some Bushwhackers. I loved Mr. Perfect. More 80s stuff. I loved the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man. Just heel aspect-wise, he was awesome in my opinion. 90s wise, you got when I actually started watching WCW and WWF together side by side in my basement, literally in the door watching the Monday Night Wars. I loved me some Sting. I loved me some Austin, some Bret Hart, some Brian Pillman, Nature Boy Ric Flair. When you went to the Attitude Era, it was obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, D-Generation X. Good God. I loved the Goldust character. And I had no idea that it was Dusty's son. Dusty Rhodes, another one of my favorites. And then, now came the PG era. You got all your John Cena's and everything. I'll tell you right now, as a fan, I never gave a damn about Cena unless he was doing the rap gimmick. But I respect everything the man's done for the business. And if you literally need somebody to come out of... If the man was retired and you needed somebody to come out of retirement to perform at a WrestleMania at a high caliber event such as WrestleMania and put somebody over, John Cena would be the ultimate guy to go to because he's got the fan base there. Everybody loves him as far as kids go. Everybody respects him as far as what he's done for the business. The man can still go. you could literally sit there and say, oh, I'm a Brock Lesnar mark, but he's not there half the time. You know what I mean?
Half the time. He's not there like a quarter of the time.
Not even a quarter of the time. But I will say this. Brock Lesnar goes in and beats Daniel Cormier. That is fucking press coverage as a son of a bitch. Double champion for 2 different promotions. It is marketable. So good.
That would be insane.
It would be great. I guarantee it'll happen too because
Whoa.
I don't give a damn what you say. UFC can be a work too. Sorry, Dana White.
Yeah, I think they're starting to adapt some of that, especially with the storytelling and the promoting of the matches. I'm starting to see that they're really diving into that.
Absolutely. Everybody thought Conor McGregor was going to kick what's his name's ass, Namir Nekramata, whatever, the guy with the big hair, or the guy with the big hat hair thing, whatever.
Khabib.
Khabib. There you go. Khabib. I don't know his last name by heart, but. Literally, everybody thought he was going to beat his ass because that was a fight. They sold it already in the promos. They sold the fact that Conor came out with his boys, beat the shit out of a bus, and there was a whole flack about it. He went to jail. He went to court. Everybody's like, all right, now, boom, there's the story. Khabib kicks his ass. All right, I guarantee you, there will be a round 2, and there will be Conor taking him and beating him, and then there'll be a third match, and there's the payoff, the big finish, and Conor will retire. Absolutely, mark my words. He'll retire after that. He'll make all the money in the world off that third fight. Done deal. Or could go a different route. He could have ended his career at the Floyd Mayweather because both of them made away with hilarious amounts of money. I don't care what it was. And nobody thought Conor would last 5 minutes. The man lasted, 10 rounds? Just about, if any. Nobody expected that.
Was it 10 rounds?
I thought it was 10 rounds.
He made it past a couple rounds. I do
remember
that.
Absolutely. But they both made a shitload of money. Conor McGregor could have retired right then and there and just done autograph signings at the big event and had been done with it. But he's a marketable fighter, number one, and he's a businessman for all aspects and purposes. He's going to want to keep fighting, make some more money, and be done with it. But back to me.
Okay.
The Scotty Priest character honestly it's developed so much over the years. When I first started training and everything like that, I started training in Baltimore at a little place called EWA, the Eastern Wrestling Alliance, for those of you that want to look it up. I don't even know if it's around anymore. It's been years and years ago. I started there. Then I moved down south to the Carolinas, and in the heyday, the Carolinas were the breeding grounds of most professional wrestling, and if you wanted to make it somewhere, Carolina was one of the places to be. So I thought that was a great opportunity, and next thing you know, it's like I found this promotion, and at the time it was called the Christian Wrestling Alliance. I'll repeat that. The Christian Wrestling Alliance. God is very big in the South. Very, very big. And I'm sitting there like, no, it's Christian Wrestling Alliance. I mean, is it going to be, too God-fearing or whatever? I went and saw a show. They have direct affiliates to TNA at the time when it was really, really big. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is good.
Hold on. I can just imagine, by God, back from the dead again, it's Jesus Christ.
There is actually a promotion, and for those of you that want to go and Netflix and chill, if you can actually find it on Netflix, there is a show. There is a little documentary on there called Wrestling for Jesus. I kid you not. There was a promotion in the South, and I don't know if it's still around today, but the promotion was called WFJ, Wrestling for Jesus. And it was a fun little company. And if you watch the documentary, you'll see yours truly on there too.
Hey.
So, but yeah, very big in the South is it's churches beyond. Oh my God. Anyway, but I found this company there, and I started furthering my training there because I'd only been training for about 3-4 months before I moved. So I went down there, furthered my training, and within 6 months I had my opportunity to have my first match. So I'm thinking of myself like, okay, well, what kind of a name do I want? What is my gimmick going to be? And I never really thought of a gimmick. I was having trouble coming up with a name, and I'm sitting there going to training one night. I'm like, what's my name going to be? I don't want to use Jay. I don't want to use Jason. I don't want to use my last name. For those of you that don't know, Scott is my middle name. Jason Scott.
My last name.
It's Chris Scott. So Scott is my middle name, and I decided, well, I'm Irish. I don't care if Scotty was Scottish from Star Trek. Fuck it, I'm going to add a Y to it. So Scotty. Done deal. Scotty was all set. Well, what's my last name going to be? Shit. I have no idea. And as I'm driving, I'm like, screw it. I've been thinking about this for like 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to just phase it out. Maybe my promoter will come up with some kind of character for me. My booker might say something, give me a suggestion here and there. We'll figure it out when the time comes. I got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to go. I can do this. And as I'm sitting there just listening to my iPod, what song do you think comes on?
This guy doesn't know?
No.
No.
That was beforehand. This is Scotty Doesn't Know came way long ago.
Oh, is it
You've got
Judas
yes,
Priest song? Okay.
yes. You've got Another Thing Coming by Judas Priest, and like the typical pro wrestler, as we always do, we sit there and we go, making his way to the ring from Baltimore, Maryland, Scotty Priest, and I'm thinking, that's got a ring to it. So the rib of it all was, I got Scotty Priest from a Judas Priest song. I named myself and everything of my character after Judas Priest. Not necessarily character-wise, but my theme music was a Judas Priest song, You've Got Another Thing Coming, or Painkiller, or Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. My catchphrase was, You've Got Another Thing Coming, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. All of my little finishing maneuvers and trademark moves, aside from the Shining Wizard, are all Judas Priest songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Like I've got the Electric Eye, I've got the Starbreaker, and I've never even debuted the Starbreaker before. I've got the Painkiller, which is a submission I've never even debuted before. All of my little things have been named after Judas Priest songs. It wasn't until Warriors of Wrestling, but I will say this actually. The character of Scotty Priest, my moniker that I used, was The Rage Scotty Priest. Also another Judas Priest song, The Rage. And whenever somebody asks me, like, who is The Rage Scotty Priest? Well, I'm obviously not 6'5" and jacked. I don't have a good, look to myself. I don't have the body for it. I was a fat guy growing up, and I was still a fat guy when I started training. But for some reason, I had this long hair. They looked at me and they called me a little mini rhino because when my hair was wet, it was like rhino's hair, and I had the build of a rhino. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take that aspect of they call me a little rhino, or as my old trainer Johnny Blaze would call me, Rotten Balls, because he thought I looked like Axel Rotten too. And he basically sat there and said, well, You look like Axel Rotten, you look like Balls Mahoney, and your hair, with the way it is, looks like a little mini rhino. So I was like, all right, all these guys, all right, so I may not look all jacked and tan and everything like that, but if you piss me off, my object and my goal is to beat your ass. So I may look all like I'm not worth a dime in the wrestling business, but once you get in the ring and you piss me off, all bets are off. So that's kind of where the Rage came in. And I used that till I came to Warriors. And it wasn't until Warriors that they actually gave me a character. And the way they wanted me to, the way they described it to me.
Who's they, by the way?
They being the booker, Jake Gomez. Do you know Jake Gomez? Rib. But they described it to me that they wanted me to do somewhat of a preacher gimmick. And because my last name is Priest, I have been told that many times to do a preacher gimmick. Well, I don't want to do a preacher gimmick because I think I'm ripping off Christopher Daniels. There's always been a preacher gimmick in professional wrestling, and I'm like, well, if you want me to do a preacher gimmick, well, how can I make it different? And then they turned around and said, you need, and I believe it was Jason Karloff that told me this once, you need to be a Jim Jones, Charlie Manson. In other words, you're not a preacher, but you're more or less a deceitful con artist where you get others to do your bidding. Did Manson murder those people? No, but he was framed for it, or he was charged with the murders. Jim Jones got thousands of people to commit suicide. They want you to be a manipulative, preacher-esque type person, and that all made sense to me. So from that point on, when I first started in Warriors, they made me this Jim Jones, Charlie Manson-esque person. And I recruited the Irish Bruiser, and I recruited Pete Simmons as my little kind of like disciples, lackeys, so on and so forth, where I basically, they were all hyped up way back when. But when all was said and done, they were treated as fools. And Pete Simmons, as jacked as he is, he only ever received one title shot at the Warriors of Wrestling heavyweight title when it was a heavyweight title at the time. And it was like he got nothing out of it at all. He got no title shot again. It was nothing. So I come in, I'm like, you're more than what they see you for. I can make you great again. Bruiser, you're treated as a joke. You're treated as a baffling Irish buffoon, a drunkard. With your size and your mass, you could be something special. And I would literally, I convinced them to join up with me. And we were 2-time tag team champions. And literally that was the highlight of my career at that point in time, just becoming a tag team champion for Warriors of Wrestling. Because all I ever wanted to do was wrestle with this company. I didn't care if I won a title or not. As long as I did my job in the ring and as long as I made people happy or pissed off at the time, I did my job. And as the character developed, well, then you had the Church of Hierarchy that I ran with Irish Bruiser and Pete Simmons. Pete Simmons left, so it was just me and Bruiser. Then Bruiser ended up getting hurt, I believe, so he took some time off. Well, now you needed something else to happen, a new dynamic. So then I formed the Disciples of Priest with Dirtbag Dan and Talon and Antonio Rivera. And I was still that preacher-esque Charlie Manson guy, but at the same time, well, now I got disciples that follow me more. I got more disciples. I got a dirtbag that doesn't give a damn to bleed. He'll bleed buckets for everything. Put him in something, you got it. I've got Antonio Rivera, who will only speak Spanish, and he was already loved as a face as the Latin Revolution with Tony Torres. Well, now he's a heel, and he's going to be just talking Spanish. By the way, for those of you listening and those of you that knew me back in the day, I do not speak a lick of damn Spanish. That all was just made up with Antonio. I was just like, I'll just follow your lead. What he meant to say was, and I just translated. But anyway. And then you had Talon, who was basically the workhorse, and he was a great talent to have. I'm pissed off that he left. I understood the reason behind it, but at the same time, he was such a good talent. And from there, they decided to do the higher power gimmick with John Cannon. John Cannon came in. I was basically the second-hand man. I was the word of God, so to speak, because John Cannon was God. When the Disciples of Priest, or Disciples of Cannon, whatever, when that all disbanded, well, then it was just like, well, what do we do? Well, let's make Scotty and Dirtbag, faces and just let them be themselves. Because outside of Warriors, myself and Dirtbag Dan are we're the two that you want to be at a party, but you don't want to give too much alcohol to. Because we will tear some shit up.
Okay.
And me and Dan have been friends since I first came into Warriors. And the day that I met Dirtbag Dan, we just clicked. And ever since then, we've just always been together. He's one of my best friends. And it was just like, let's throw these two together and just let them be themselves. Let them be goofs. And that's where it took off. We just did the stupidest shit that we could ever think of, and it got over like $1 million. We took Ryan Peterson, who replaced Sam Gomez as announcer one night, and all we did was call him Sam Gomez. Here you have Sam Gomez, the original announcer for Warriors of Wrestling at the time. He's about 5 something or other. He's tan. He's a good looking guy. And no offense to Ryan Peterson, but Ryan Peterson at the time was about 6 foot something, heavy set, huge around the waist area. And we're sitting there, yeah, you're Sam Gomez. No, we know Sam. No, you're Sam Gomez. Holy shit. And at the very end of it, he's just like, I am not Sam Gomez. I'm Ryan Peterson. And off the fly, we were just like, he goes, you want to see some ID? And I'm like, yeah, let's see some ID. He pulls out his freaking wallet. And I was like, oh shit, he's actually got his wallet. Awesome, this works. His name is Ryan Peterson. Damn. And the fans ate it up. Completely ate it up. So at that point in time, I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'm gonna be Scotty outside the ring, well, how can I liven it up a little bit? So then me and Dan do the absolutely Caucasian gimmick, where it's just like we think we're just two Spanish guys just from the Spanish section of Baltimore, which was a parody on Absolutely Latino, which was at the time Chachi and Edwin. When they had their run, when they left, they were like, just parody them. It's a parody. Who cares? You guys are out of shape. You're not tan. You're not nothing. But the fans will eat it up. Do your little gyrating of the hips. Get the mirrors going. We're good. All right, cool. I bought a wig to resemble Chachi's long, luxurious hair. And every single time I got in that damn ring, there would literally be fans like literally taking bets as to when the wig would come off, because that damn thing wasn't staying on. But that was the dynamic of it. It was just like, that's not his hair. That wig's coming off. When's it going to come off this time? I bet it's going to come off this body slam. Ah, shit. Up, the hip toss. Done. It's off. And then I just pop it back on like nothing happened. It was ridiculously stupid, but it got over. Then when Dirtbag left, it was like, well, what do I do now? So the character of Scotty Priest now is just like, I'm Scotty Priest as I was in Absolutely Caucasian, but I've kind of kicked it up a notch with just being me and being kind of like one with the fans. In the aspect of like a Dusty Rhodes was to the fans in Florida and in the Carolinas, he was basically just a common man. He wasn't the very best athletically, but when he could get in that ring and go 60 minutes to an hour, 60 minutes day in and day out with Ric Flair, that was something special. He connected with the people. So in other words, with me, I'm an outstanding guy. An outgoing guy, I should say.
No, you're an outstanding guy.
I'm an outstanding guy.
Outstanding. He's outstanding.
I'm very outstanding.
Quote Scotty Priest, I'm an outstanding guy.
I am an outstanding guy. I'm very outgoing in my personality. And I connect with a lot of the fans and Warriors of Wrestling. So it's just like, I'll speak for you, the people, if you speak for me. And I'm sitting there like, all right, so what am I going to do to get over with these people? Well, I'm already kind of over, but it's like, how can I kick it up a notch? So I'm like, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to use Scotty Doesn't Know as a theme song. Just because everybody and their mother, every time I say, hey, how you doing? I'm Scotty Priest. Oh, Scotty Doesn't Know. Yeah, I heard it a million times. Thanks. And I was just like, why not? It's goofy. It's catchy. And every time the damn song comes on, people start cheering. So it's like, from the theme song alone, all right, I've got him. And then just going out there and just being outlandish, doing the outlandish things I do. Like for instance, Chris the Man Romano, I trip him up, I give a leg to the referee, and I give him a crotch gimmick, the wishbone, so to speak. They eat that up. When I do the Dusty Elbow, they eat it up. It's like I transformed from a maniacal con artist, Charles Manson-esque Jim Jones guy, to this fun-loving babyface that connects with the fans. And honestly, at this point in my career, that's how it's gone. I've gone. And
you're happy with it?
I'm very happy with it. Very, very happy with it. I don't know what the future holds for it. I hope it stays for a long time. I love everything that has ever been given to me at Warriors. And honestly, if the fans at the time when I was the heel, if they went home or they stayed in that parking lot and wanted to kick my ass, I know I did my job. If I gave them, as Scotty Priest, the Scotty Doesn't Know guy, if I gave them a good show, they laughed their asses off, and they come up to me at the very end of the show and they're like, oh man, you had a great match. Oh, I love you. Can I take a picture with you? I've done my job. And that's all I ever wanted to do at Warriors of Wrestling was my job. If I didn't do my job, fire me now. Mm-hmm. That's my outlook on it. And that's essentially how my character developed. I know I spent a lot of time talking about it, but, I'd like to talk.
Makes my job easy here. My job is to get you talking. And
exactly.
This
is a 45-minute to an hour show. We've already covered about 30 minutes worth. He's good. He's golden.
I'm golden. This is perfect timing. This is amazing. One of my favorite things about your character is you mentioned you pay homage to famous guys from the past, like Dusty Rhodes. You had the Bionic Elbow in there. You and Jose Salvador, you had like some Bushwhackers moments in some recent matches. So you and Jose Salvador, how did that partnership begin?
So that partnership, when me and Dirtbag Dan were absolutely Caucasian, we were trying to find us a new leader, so to speak, because the Disciples of Priest and or the what do we call ourselves at the time? We weren't the Hostile Collective. That came with Cannon and his other group, but we were something, Church of Cannon something or other, and I can't remember at the time, and I'm sorry. Sorry. Memory serves me. Been hitting the head a lot.
I had no idea Cannon was connected to the Hostile Collective, but that's
that was way back when. So when we disbanded as our group, the dynamic of it was, all right, so we're going to put Dan and Scotty together, and they're going to look for a new leader. So at the time, we started after every show, or at every show, I should say, we tried to find some guy to lead us. So our the first thing we did was we painted our faces up because Kyle the Beast was on the show, and we thought, let's make Kyle the Beast our leader. And we went in there, we looked like a couple of reject Insane Clown Posse guys, and we literally just tried to talk to Kyle the Beast, and Kyle the Beast just walked out on us. Well, then after that, we started mimicking people, and we tried to get Joey to be our leader. We tried to be Sam Gomez.
So it's kind of like, are you familiar with the B Team?
There you go. Yes.
It's basically what the
B team was doing. We were the B team before the B team were cool. Damn it. Believe no.
Did you just realize
Scotty doesn't know.
Did you just realize that now?
Yes, I actually realized that now. We were the original B. Shit, we should get the WWE for gimmick infringement. Son of a bitch. Mark Hirano, I'm giving you a call later. And I have your number. Don't think I don't. But we were the B team before the B team. So then, in all aspects of it, after about 6 months trying to find a new leader, me and Dan finally decided, hey, well, maybe we don't need a leader. Maybe somebody should follow us. And there in the crowd, after almost every show, was Jose Salvador saying, "Book Jose, book Jose, book Jose," which kayfabe. The whole Book Jose ordeal started out as a rib to another guy who was literally trying to say Book Jose. It's to explain it, you have to know the guy and you have to know the aspects of where the Jose Salvador came from. I'm not going to get into that now because you're going to ask yourself, well, who the hell is this Jose Salvador? And it's just going to get a big mess. So Jose was in the crowd and he was holding up a sign saying Book Jose. So we said, hey kid, you're with us. So he became our lackey. And he would do little things here and there inside the ring, and he would team up with us on occasion on a 6-man here and there. When Dan had left, it was like, well, all right, so what's going to happen now? Well, you're just going to be teamed with Jose. I was like, how the hell is that going to work? And I was like,
two completely different characters.
Not connected at all. Not connected at all. Very different backgrounds. And it was just like, well, how can I literally team with this guy who I don't know anything necessarily about, have nothing in common with, and how can we get over?
Barely speaks English.
He's, oh God.
Barely speaks any.
And he barely can even speak freaking Spanish. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, as to pay homage to certain wrestlers of the past, I think, okay, maybe I could do a little bit of Heart Foundation, where I could be the Anvil as the powerhouse. Jose could be the technical little guy as far as Bret Hart was, because Bret Hart was very technical, and he's the excellence of execution. Jose can't execute shit, but damn it, he has a heart of gold. And
shots fired.
I thought of using that as my dynamic. But then Jose started to get the following when he was with me and Dan with the whole Book Jose. And after everything we've been through thus far, every single time we get in that ring, the first chants are either Scotty doesn't know from the fans or Jose, 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 Jose.
The crowd loves you guys. Yeah.
The crowd eats Jose up. And I'm like, this can work if we do certain things to make it work as a team. So the whole dynamic of being goofy guys, because me and Jose are literally kind of goofs in the ring, as opposed to me and Dan. Me and Dan were the original goofs, but Jose Salvador and Scotty Priest, we're goofy, but we can make it work just as good, if not better. So paying homage to the Bushwhackers, it was like, it's a simple thing. All we got to do is, and it gets over like $1 million. Doing we did the 3D, or I'm sorry, not the 3D, the was up headbutt that the Dudley Boys did. And I go, what up? Jose goes, Jose, and jumps off and does a headbutt. I'll never forget, I was watching one of our matches with, it was me and Jose versus the Hostile Collective, and I believe at the time it was Abdul Nasir and Katrid. And Katrid being a female, nobody expects anything to be really done bad to a female if it's like an intergender thing. Well, I mean, mostly intergender wrestling stuff gets done. Whatever. I'm old school. I don't like to beat up women. But I'll sure shake some bitches. But anyway, no. But we did this spot where we teased the headbutt. I picked Abdul up and I spread his legs for the headbutt. And I believe it was Katrid that kind of like pushed Jose off the turnbuckle or whatever to set up for that. But then Katrid got in the ring. I lifted her up, slammed her down, spread her legs. Jose jumps off the rope and headbutts her. The commentators on that match was like, I think Jose just became a man. And I just died of laughter. I was like, this works. And everybody loved it.
Wait, how long ago was that?
Oh, God, that was at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And
so I wasn't around then. Okay.
No, you weren't around. You were not even a thought of. But now that you're here, welcome.
1 year.
But
I was a sub-in 2 years ago for a show, and 1 year I've been with the company now. So
right on. Very good.
So okay,
you're a brother. You're a warrior.
Jose becomes a man.
I think Jose just became a man. Shalom. And I was like, dude, this works. So I was just like, it doesn't matter at that point if we're two totally different people. If we have two total different wrestling styles, it doesn't matter. I'm the funny, technical powerhouse guy if I wanted to be. Jose's the lucha with a heart of gold. The dynamic works as long as you do certain things to make it work. So the homage to the Bushwhackers, the homage to the Hart Foundation, the homage to every other little tag team that we've done, the homage to Dusty Rhodes, everything works as long as you blend it together and you make it work. And that's honestly how me and Jose connected through that. It was just, we have their love for professional wrestling. We both know our stuff when it comes to old school wrestling and old school tag teams. And it's like, yo, we're going to go out there and we're going to be the biggest pop, if not the best pop of the night. And every single show, we get that pop and we get those fans behind us, and it just works. And I couldn't ask for a better partner. And I love Dirtbag Dan, but I love Dirtbag Dan and I love Jose all the same. Together, we make magic. And that's what you need as far as a tag team goes. You need to make some magic happen. You need to make some fans love you. You need to make sure that you are a legit tag team. And people look at us and they're like, you don't have matching gear. You don't know, like you don't have that dynamic as a tag team, but yet we do because we can make it work. And that's the magic of it. It's like, yeah, we're two goofy and two totally different teams.
Yeah, when you look at the two of you, it's like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. You don't judge a book by its cover.
Great analogy. Yeah. Great analogy. Because you can't judge. You can judge me all you want to, but I make heads turn. I remember Ian Price, God rest his soul. Ian Price once came to a show and told me he was one of the original commentators and announcers way back when, first beginning of Warriors. But he said to me one day after a match, he was like, I am surprised for how big you are. You can actually move in a ring. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Damn right I can. I may not look like $1 million, but damn it, when it's go time, I can go.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, pretty much everyone I've interviewed so far has had a similar outlook on these next couple of guys I'm going to mention, because the very first interview I did was with Joey.
Okay.
And I was talking about, how does he feel when certain guys come through the company and they end up getting like some sort of WWE triad, or they're wrestling with Future of Honor, or they're at Lucha Underground like Sunny Kisses and all
Right.
that. And he says that it's all about heart, it's all about determination, and Chris Romano says that you have to care about your body, you have to care about being safe, all that stuff. The question to you is, how does a wrestler, the guys that you've seen at least, get to that level? What do they all have in common? What was it?
Well, number one, everything that everybody says, you have to take care of your body, this, that, and the other, it's all well and fine, and that's true. You literally have to have, in my opinion, you don't just have to have the look of it or the it factor, but you have to have the drive and the heart and passion. I'll give you a prime example. The EYFBO, also known as LAX in TNA, Ortiz and Santana. All right, two great guys. They came from literally nothing. I believe they grew up in Staten Island, and they lived in the Pazuzu projects. I believe that's the story. If I'm wrong, my bad, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to put you over here. Damn it, I love you guys. But they literally came from nothing, but they had so much heart and determination to do something in this business. They grinded inch by inch by inch, went to any promotion they could to find themselves and to make something of themselves. And through that grinding and that determination just to make something of yourself, to make something out of nothing, now they're in TNA and they've been around the world. And how many people can literally say that they came from nothing and made it into something that they've done? There's a lot of people out there that have come from nothing and have made something of themselves. And I'm not discrediting them in any way, but the EYFBO, in my opinion, are two of the most underrated individuals that have not been inside a WWE ring. And everything they have done and accomplished has been phenomenal thus far. It is a damn shame that they are not on WWE TV right now. And that is not a slap in the face to TNA. TNA has given them a platform to shine, and that's great. The fact of the matter is that if you look at a lot of tag teams that deserve to be in a WWE ring, it's those two right there. The Ugly Ducklings are two guys that I've known for years. I've known Rob Killjoy for years. A tag team that was put together, given the weirdest gimmick you could ever think of in terms of being a duck. And they are booming all over the place. They deserve to be somewhere. Why they aren't in Ring of Honor or TNA or WWE is a travesty. But I guarantee you, they will be there one day because they have that drive and determination to do it. They've got everything going good for them. And kudos to them. And I say that to anybody that's come through Warriors of Wrestling and has that drive and determination to do something with themselves and to be something. To say that I've made it onto that platform, whether it be Ring of Honor, TNA, if you made it to that platform and there's nothing to go but up, good for you. Hell yeah. Show everybody tell your story. Make them see that you came from nothing and you became something. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's saying that TNA is great and all, but you should be in WWE. That's not a slap to TNA in any way, shape, or form. TNA is a great product. TNA has given many of my friends and colleagues a platform to shine. Same with Ring of Honor.
It's still one of the best platforms to be on.
It's one of the top
it's in the
three.
top five.
Top
It's
five,
the
top
top
three,
five,
whatever. Yeah. And there's nowhere to go but up. The fact that I believe EYFBO should be in WWE, absolutely. But they don't have to go to WWE. They can choose to go. But the next step for them, it could be anything. They could be showing up in Mainstay and Ring of Honor. They could go all the way to New Japan and do something there. EYFBO, in my opinion, have came from nothing and became something, and kudos to them. Hell yes to Ortiz and Santana. They have done something that many, many others can't say that they have, especially a lot of guys like me. I've been in this business 10 years. I've been on TV maybe twice in my entire life as far as wrestling goes. Do I want a contract somewhere? Absolutely. I'd be stupid not to. But I also said to myself, if I don't make it to that top platform, I'm okay with that and I accept that, because I know I'm not 6 foot, I'm not tan, I'm not jacked. I don't have the look, I don't have the it factor, this, that, and the other that everybody's looking for in Mainstay and mainstream TV and everything like that. And I'm cool with that. My whole goal as a professional wrestler was to, number one, become a professional wrestler. My goal from that point on, when I became a professional wrestler, was to try and do something with it. I've done everything that I've ever said I wanted to do. I wanted to go and have a Mainstay home, Warriors of Wrestling. I could go back to the South and have Mainstay homes because I worked my ass off in the South and people know me. And I can go back to the South tomorrow and say, hey, I'm back in town. Think you can get me a booking? Hell yeah, come on over. We love you. Boom. I wanted to at least win one title. I've won a handful, 7, maybe 8. I wanted to have a locker room that loved and respected me. I've gotten love. Respect is whatever. They respect me. I just like to toot my own horn. But I wanted a locker room that loved and respected me enough to call me a brother. I wanted to do my job each and every single time I stepped in that ring, whether it was to make this guy look like $1 million, whether it was to drop a title to this guy to give him the next level of success, whether it was to go out there and just either piss off the fans or get them excited as hell to see the next match. Everything that I've ever set out to accomplish, I've done in this business. I'm proud of that. The guys that have come through Warriors of Wrestling, or for that matter, any independent company around and have made it to that shining platform, whether it be Ring of Honor or TNA or Japan, they should be proud of that moment and that fact alone. And let nobody tell you that you couldn't do it, and let nothing stop you. The EYFBO, anything that was put in their path that tried to prevent them from going anywhere, didn't stop them. They kept grinding, and they kept fighting tooth and nail to get where they're at today. And much respect and love to them. And much respect and love to anybody that has ever come through any independent company and fought tooth and nail to get to where they're at today in the big leagues. Period.
Joey and Romano specifically mentioned a few of the younger guys at Warriors. There's a great group of young guys, young students there that are starting to achieve massive success. Guys like Tony Booz is white hot right now. Vinny Pacifico has wrestled with Future of Honor. He's been a No Limits champion already. He's only 20 years old. Chris Bene, tag team champion with Logan Black and the
Fuck him.
Chaos. There's a lot of young guys
Took
there.
My damn title.
There's a lot of young guys at Warriors of Wrestling. And those guys, in my opinion, they really stand out. But there's a good group of young guys, and Romano had some great things to say about the future of Warriors of Wrestling. As a veteran, part of that locker room, where do you see this company going with these guys mainly as students?
This company alone has one of the best schools around. And I will say this, that anybody that has the drive and determination to become a professional wrestler and even make it in this business, this is the school you want to go to. Tony Booz, Vinny Pacifico, Chris Bene, I'm trying to think of other students that have passed through here. TK Luther. TK Luther, prime example. I'll even throw it out there right now before I start giving anybody else props. TK Luther came into this school fat and out of shape. He's still fat and out of shape. But it took him... Oh, come on!
Who's calling me during the show?
Jesus! I'm trying to deal with a professional here. TK Luther came and tried to find himself, and it took him a handful of tries to figure out what the hell he is all about in Warriors of Wrestling. He came up with the most ridiculous gimmick I have ever seen in my life, and it is over like Rover, the Cookie Pimp, of all things. There's been a pimp before, the Godfather in WWE. There's been other pimps in, little indie feds here and there. This guy comes out and gives cookies to fans, and he treats his stomach as iron. And if you punch the stomach or you kick the stomach or whatever, nothing works because it's a freaking flab. How golden is that? That right there alone says you've got something special.
I can't wait to interview him too.
Oh God!
And I'm gonna bring up all these comments about it.
Now, if you want to go non-gimmick aside, and you want to go straight, just wrestling dynamic, Vinny Pacifico is a workhorse. He's in the ring every single day, training, doing what he can. He's in the gym every single day, training, doing everything he can to better himself. He has been all over the country. He's been to England. That right there is a drive. Not a drive car, but I'm saying he's got the drive and determination to make it in this business. He will sit there and nag you to death about every single match he's in and what he could do to better himself. That's what you need to do in this business. You can't just sit there and say, oh, I had a good match. No. If there is something that needs to be critiqued or worked on, you need to sit there and find it out and get critiqued on. You're always learning in this business. Vinny Pacifico has the drive and determination and the look to become a professional, to become that next level athlete and go somewhere in this business. Tony Booze has come into his own in the recent year and has been, without question, one of the most underrated, greatest underdog that has ever stepped foot in a Warriors of Wrestling ring. He is by far, he is hungry. I'll throw that word out there. He is hungry to be something that nobody ever could imagine him to be. And he's got that underdog look and underdog mentality. And he is a phenomenal workhorse in that ring. He could take the littlest thing and make it big. One of his little signatures is a freaking standing headbutt to get somebody off him from getting his ass kicked. And he makes it $1 million. Chris Benet, the Godfather of Chokeslam. I'm only saying this because he's an asshole and he took my titles away from me and Jose, but no. Chris Benet is a phenomenal talent that you would just take one look at and be like, who the fuck is this guy? He's got that. I'm sorry, Chris, you got that look. You got that look like you're a bum. But, when he gets in that ring, he shows you differently. And he'll kick your ass. Absolutely kick your ass. Because he's got that drive and hunger and determination. And he's got a great tag team partner in Logan Black to feed him that hunger. Those two alone, Logan Black and Chris Benet, are one of the phenomenally organic tag teams that have ever stepped foot in a wrestling ring, because they both, number one, they both love each other to get as partners and as human beings. They always travel together. They always talk wrestling. They're into the same music and everything, whatever. All that make a great tag team. When they get in the ring, they make magic happen. And the fans either hate what they do because they're assholes to fans, or they love what they do because of what they do. And literally, Isaiah Wolf Another prospect of Warriors of Wrestling. The guy has the look of an athlete, the look of a straight cold killer, can make magic in the ring, and grinds every single day to better himself. Every single match he's in, he's always trying to find something to better himself. So you have Chris Benet, you have Tony Booz, you have Vinny Pacifico, Isaiah Wolf, and any other student that have come through that door. They're always looking to better themselves, and they're always training in and out every single week to better themselves for not just Warriors, but for the next step in their wrestling career. Their drive and determination has gotten them where they are, and nobody in their right minds can say a negative thing about that. So as a veteran, I literally wish I still had their drive and determination and their I'm gonna say youth. There you go, youth. I fucked my words up. I wish I had their youth, because if I were Scotty Priest now, but in that aspect of their youth right now, if I was a 20-something-year-old Scotty Priest and had came through Warriors of Wrestling instead of my previous training, who knows what could have been for me? You know what I mean? So in a way, I'm not jealous, but I kind of envy them a little bit, because they have so much going for them that's all good. And do I wish I had that same level of success that they're having right now? Absolutely. But I will never discredit them in any shape or form. They're doing everything they've got to do to elevate themselves. And as a veteran, I am proud to share a ring with them, and I'm proud to even work a match with them and be in the same ring with them, because I know for a fact, probably most not for nothing, but if I had to get in the ring with them as a veteran in my old age and my out of shape ass, I know they'll have to probably carry me, and I'm going to be forever grateful for that. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But we'll have fun. I'll hold my own. Don't worry. But yeah, anybody who comes stepping through a Warriors of Wrestling training ground is destined for nothing but greatness, as long as they have that drive and determination that all of those guys have. Deanna Diaz is another one. Confidence is there. She just has to find herself. And that goes for everybody else that comes through that curtain, or comes through that training facility. Find yourself, do something for yourself. And our training, number one, is second to none. Our cardio will kill you on Cardio Thursdays. Our psychology will kill you in that ring, because psychology is very important in a wrestling business. You tell a story. Tony Booz will literally take something out of nothing and make it $1 million. And you can't teach that. Well, you can teach that, but you can't, you got to watch Tony Booz. Follow Tony Booz. Watch his matches. You'll see what I'm talking about. Follow Isaiah Wolf. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I'll be interviewing Tony Booz as well.
Awesome.
He's part of the list. So.
Yes. He is. All those guys, from veteran to the rookies, have done one hell of an outstanding job thus far in their careers as Warriors, and have done a hell of a job outside of Warriors to those that have ventured out. And I know Tony Booz, and I know actually they've all ventured out of Warriors, and they've done phenomenal jobs. Jason Sinclair is another one who is part of the AOC. Phenomenal athlete, and has got the psychotic look of a stone cold killer. There's so many guys I can name that come through Warriors on a training basis, and they'll blow you away every time they step in a ring. Regardless, trainer from veteran to rookie, they've done a hell of a job so far. Nothing but great things to say about them. I love working them. I love being a part of those classes, because I get to see firsthand just how well they've advanced and come in the recent years. And the sky's the limit, bar none.
Fantastic interview here, Jay. Fantastic interview. You really made my life easy here.
Good.
Just kept on going.
We can do this again and talk more about me, right?
100%.
Awesome.
100%. Yeah. No, I really do appreciate the time. Give you Safe travels home, but thank you very much for doing this. And Warriors Wrestling has their 11th anniversary show coming up December 1st. Make sure you are there.
Also, December 24th, we're going to be in Sayreville, New Jersey. Well, yours truly is going to try and go after the No Limits title that I've never had. I'm going to kick your ass, Isaiah Wolf.
September or December? November. I think you said December.
No, November.
Okay, November 24th. November 24th. Hopefully I have this up before then.
But be there for the 11th anniversary, December
1st.
Yes.
All right, everyone who's watching, listening, thank you. Share, subscribe, do all that stuff. And we thank you very much for watching and listening.
Follow me on Instagram, Scotty Priest SP1. You can probably find my Facebook there. Fans, shoot me a message if you feel like it. I'll try and answer as much as possible. And, yeah, Scotty doesn't know.
I guess my social media handle is CJ Scoot, SCOOTT. And follow Warriors Wrestling on social media at W.O.W Pro Wrestling or at Warriors Wrestling. You'll find them. They're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. But anyway, for Scotty Priest, I'm Chris Scott, and we are out of here.